Okay, listen up, because something just broke in the world of AI. And no, I'm not talking about another minor update. This is a fundamental, ground-shaking shift. In just the last 7 days, AI literally went from being a helpful little tool to an autonomous employee. What we're about to dive into is the real deal blueprint for the future of work. Yeah, you heard that right. That one idea, it's pretty much the theme for everything this week. We're now talking about AI that can spin up entire complex applications from just a single command. And get this, robots that are learning factory jobs not over months, but in minutes. The ground is literally shifting under the feet of the entire tech industry. It's wild. All right, so let's get into it. First up, AI's huge agentic leap. We're talking about the code that literally writes itself. So what's behind all this? It's a new concept called Agentic AI, and honestly, it's the single biggest leap we've seen all year. As of this week, the idea of an AI coding an entire project from start to finish, well, it's not science fiction anymore. It is here. It is a reality. So the tool making all this happen is from Anthropic, and it's called Claude Code. A developer can literally give it a single command line prompt, and boom, it builds an entire application. But here's the crazy part, the real kicker. Something called self-verification. It doesn't just write the code, it then tests the code, finds its own bugs, and then fixes them. All of that happens before a human even looks at it. This isn't just some new tool, you guys. This is a whole new kind of developer. And yeah, it brings up a pretty terrifying question. What does this mean for junior developer jobs, say, by 2027? All right, just look at that number, $10 billion. That's what OpenAI just dropped on a deal with a chip startup you might not have even heard of called Cerebras Systems. And here's the kicker. This isn't for software. They're buying raw, unadulterated compute. Think of it like this. They're building their own private, exclusive superhighway for their AI. And trust me, it's big enough to change everything. And this is the big shift, you guys. For years, the AI race was all about one thing. Who could build the biggest, baddest models? Now, the game has completely changed. It's about who can get their hands on the hardware, the actual chips, to run those massive models. The new battlefield is all about securing exclusive access to the fastest compute. Because let's be real, if your amazing world-changing AI is too slow or costs a fortune to run, well, it's pretty much useless, right? So we've got all this insane new power coming online, and it's promising to supercharge, well, everything. But here's the million-dollar question. Is it actually making us more productive? A brand new report from Workday just dropped, and it suggests the reality is a whole lot messier. So get this. According to the report, AI tools are saving the average worker about 7 hours a week, which sounds amazing, right? But, and this is a big but, the same report found that we're spending about 3 of those saved hours fixing the AI's mistakes. Fact-checking its output, editing its writing, basically cleaning up its mess. So that shiny 7-hour promise, it's really more like a 4-hour game. Now, that whole trust problem, that is exactly what the big enterprise companies are desperately trying to solve. And their solution isn't to just use some off-the-shelf AI tool. No, they're building this stuff directly into their core platforms. And speaking of which, the enterprise software giant SAP just made a massive move in that exact direction. So this week, SAP basically gave its core database system, HANA, a major AI upgrade. Now, what does that mean in simple terms? Well, they've made it way easier for developers to ask really complex questions about their data, but using plain English. And they can now spot hidden connections between all sorts of different information. It's all about embedding that intelligence right where the data actually live. So the bottom line here is pretty simple. SAP is basically handing thousands of huge companies the building blocks to create their own custom AI systems. And the impact is huge. Less boring grunt work for their engineers and way more powerful, tailored AI solutions that actually solve their specific business problems. All right, the great AI platform war. And wow, Google's massive comeback. Because a breakthrough this big doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It's like pouring gasoline on the fire of the AI platform war. And just when everyone thought they knew who was winning, this week, we saw a comeback that is just shocking. Just look at this number, 563%. That is the insane traffic surge for Google's Gemini 3 Pro in just 2 months, December to January. While the entire world was obsessed with ChatGPT, Google was in the background, quietly stating one of the biggest comebacks in modern tech, period. I mean, this chart right here tells the entire story. On the one hand, you have ChatGPT's growth, which is kind of flatlined recently, and then you have Gemini, which has just gone completely vertical. The AI war is absolutely not a one-horse race anymore, and the shockwaves from this shift are already hitting the biggest names in tech. And check out these ripple effects. First off, huge news. Apple has reportedly dropped OpenAI. Instead, they're choosing Google's Gemini to power the next generation of Siri. That's a massive blow. So how is OpenAI fighting back? Well, word on the street is they're scouting an acquisition of Pinterest. And no, not for the social network. They want Pinterest's 200 billion images. That is a massive treasure trove of data to train their next visual AI models. Okay, shifting gears now, because this revolution isn't just happening on our screens or in the cloud. Maybe the most shocking development this week is that AI is finally getting a body. It's putting on its work boots and clocking in for a shift in the real physical world. And hey, don't just take my word for it. When Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, says something like this, you listen. He's saying the ChatGPT moment for physical AI has arrived. He truly believes we've hit that tipping point, where AI-powered robots are about to change our world, just as ChatGPT changed how we think about language. And here's the proof in the pudding. You know that famous Atlas robot from Boston Dynamics, the one we've all seen in viral videos? Well, it's not just a research project anymore. Hyundai is now actually testing it on their factory floors, sorting and moving car parts. And get this, the way they're training it is mind-blowing. They're not programming it line by line. They're running 4,000 digital twins of the robot in a simulation, letting them all learn the job at the same time. But, you know, all this incredible, mind-blowing progress, it comes at a cost. A massive and frankly painful cost that's being felt all across the tech industry. There's a new term for it. They're calling it the AI tax. And this is what that tax looks like in the real world. We're talking about a rumored 11 to 22,000 employees. That is the potential number of layoffs at Microsoft just this month. It's a staggering number, and it just shows how brutal this internal shift to AI really is. So what exactly is this AI tax? Well, think about it. The billions upon billions of dollars that companies need to build out their AI infrastructure, you know, all the servers, the GPUs, the research, that money has to come from somewhere. And right now, it's being paid for with deep, deep cuts in other divisions and, well, major layoffs. And it's not just happening at Microsoft. Take a look at Meta. They're slashing 10% of their Reality Labs, that's their VR division, to shift all those funds over to AI wearables. The message from the top couldn't be clearer. Every single dollar that isn't being spent on AI is now on the chopping block. It is a massive and pretty brutal reallocation of resources across these entire companies. Okay, last up, a quick rapid-fire section on the new disruptors. Because while all these giants are spending billions to battle it out, there's a tiny startup trying to change the game completely by attacking the one thing that I think we all are starting to hate about the current AI landscape. The startup is called 1 Minute AI, and their entire mission is to solve subscription fatigue. So instead of paying separate monthly fees for ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini Pro and Midjourney, they're offering one-time payment access to all of them all in one spot. And this is why it's such a cool idea. It is a direct attack on that subscription fatigue that I know so many of us are feeling. It's a really bold move, and it makes you ask the question, does the future of AI have to be owned by just a few huge companies with monthly subscriptions? Maybe not. There's big money flowing in Europe. A German AI startup called Parloa, they automate customer service, just raised a massive $350 million. That pushes their valuation to a cool $3 billion. It's a huge sign that investors are betting big on practical, business-focused AI. Next, over in the world of creative content, the music platform Bandcamp just drew a major line in the sand. They have officially banned music that is made entirely by generative AI. This is a huge move in the growing and pretty heated debate over AI-created art and where it belongs. So there you have it. All of that happened in just 1 week. The line between what a human does and what an AI does is disappearing way faster than anyone predicted. Which brings me to one final question for you. After seeing all this, would you actually trust an AI agent to build a critical piece of software for your business? Let me know what you think down in the comments. And hey, if you want to stay on top of these absolutely insane developments, make sure you subscribe because we break it all down like this every single week. I'll see you in the next one.